I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Mayor Yanish.
Here.
Councilmember Reese.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Amon. Johnson.
Here.
Dakin.
Here.
Fagerly.
Here.
DeBleek.
Here.
Present 9, 0 absent.
Would you all please stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take orders there. Yeah. At this time, are there any proposed additions or deletions to the agenda? I have one.
Go ahead.
I would like to delete item E under the consent, mayoral appointment Ryan Tillman. If we could just, I just want to have a little more time to study this, if we can delete that. Councilman Anderson, did you have something?
Yes, I did. I would make a motion that the following be added as agenda item 4A. That's a closed session to discuss the litigation commenced against the city by Bruce Gaum.
I'll second that.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to adjust the item to be added to the agenda as item 4A, a closed session to discuss the litigation commenced against the city by Bruce Gaum. All those in favor? Is that a motion?
Yes, just a motion and a voice vote.
Okay. If we can have a motion.
You have a motion and a second?
And a seconded. So we need a roll call?
You can do this by just a voice vote of ayes and nays.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion carries.
Mr. Mayor. I'd make a motion that the council go into closed session pursuant to the attorney-client privilege as allowed by Minnesota statute section 13D.05 to discuss the pending litigation Bruce Gaum has initiated against the city of Willmar. Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to go into a closed session pursuant to the attorney-client privilege as allowed by the Minnesota statute section 13D.05 to discuss the pending litigation Bruce Gaum initiated against the city of Willmar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion carries. At this time, we will go into closed session, and the council will adjourn to the conference room. point. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to reconvene the council meeting. We are reconvened. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. We are reconvened.
You were on now you would be on item 5, the consent item, consent agenda.
Consent items, okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent items with the item E taken out?
So moved. Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent items with item E taken out. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That motion carries. At this time, we'll have the Willmar Council open forum. And let's see, I have it here. Mr. Gahn.
Mayor Yanish and City Council members, I wanted to come before you today and continue my efforts to try to keep you as informed as possible. As you know, City Council has authority over the Municipal Utilities Commission, and I have, throughout my tenure as general manager, done my best to keep you informed, as you know, with the personal visits to you when there was issues and addressing City Council. And so at this point, I just wanted to offer an opportunity for you to ask any questions of me, if there was anything that you had that you wanted to directly ask me, or anything I could help you understand.
I would ask our attorney if this is...
Mayor, I don't think it's appropriate, since this matter is in litigation, for you to engage in a discussion in a public forum like this. It's a public forum, and Mr. Gahn should be entitled to say what he wants to in the time allotted.
Do you have anything else to say, Bruce?
I guess at this point, that's all I wanted to say. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
I have a Mr. John scheduled, but to speak is, did you want to speak now or at the public hearing?
Johns?
Bruce Johns?
Sure. I just wanted to speak regarding stormwater task force for the city of Willmar. I am a member of that task force, and it was in relationship to the upcoming redoing of the streets, and wondering if there was and how I could maybe speak to this too, but if there is truly a plan for stormwater business related to the reconstructing of the streets.
Oh, yeah, I think that, yes, please.
I know that nothing has passed through, stormwater task force as far as a review of any of that, and wondered if that was something that might be considered.
I'm just wondering if the wise idea wouldn't be to open the public hearing at this particular point, since that's next on the agenda.
Well, I think if the question is on the stormwater task force, I think Holly could respond to that now, and then if there are questions on the specifics in the improvement hearing, we could address those at that time. So.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In regards to the stormwater task force, the action was to have the bar engineering complete the watershed management plan and give a final presentation to the council, and that was tentatively scheduled for sometime in April, late April or early May. And that is when the council would have an opportunity to review BAR's recommendations as far as stormwater projects. And at that time, then, the task force would reconvene to discuss the report. As far as the stormwater improvements associated with the street improvement program, there are no specific stormwater projects in relation to the BAR report planned at this time. Any stormwater improvements that would be done would be to improve drainage on those streets by perhaps replacing some curb or adding catch basins or things like that, but there are no major stormwater projects in the improvement report at this time.
Thank you.
My next thing would be more personal, seeing as most of the back of my lot is on Oak Lane, which is one of the streets that will be improved. Most of the drainage from Oak Lane runs through a tile that directly comes off the corner of my property and goes right into the lake. Over the 50 years that I have lived in that location, when the street was constructed in 1957, a good share of that water washes out my hillside. And I was hoping for a little better plan this time. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the input. I don't see anyone else scheduled to speak this evening. Does anyone else care to speak at this particular time that isn't written down?
Are they going to talk about how much it's going to cost us?
The public hearing is the next item on the agenda. At this point, we're still in open forum, so the next item is the public hearing for the improvement projects.
And we will open that hearing at this particular point. I will open the hearing, the scheduled hearing. Holly, do you want to explain that to us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is the 2012 Street and Improvement Public Hearing, and I'll just go through a quick overview of the projects proposed and the reason for tonight's hearing. It is the position of the City of Willmar to seek input of all interested citizens and or affected members of the public in the citizens' decision-making process. That is why we are required to give a presentation and allow public input on this process. The purpose is to review the proposed improvements, estimated costs, and obtain input from those interested parties. As we've done, the mayor has opened the hearing. I'm going to go through the proposed projects quickly, and then it will be available for comments. The scope of the improvements are laid out in 4 separate areas. The reconstruction, which is about 0.83 miles, 0.84 miles of overlay, approximately 0.17 miles of new construction are included in the improvement report, and we will get to the discussion of that later on in the presentation because there are land release issues related to the new construction portion of the project. And then the miscellaneous projects, which include a water main relocation, bridge deck rehabilitation, a path, and a sidewalk, and I will go into detail as we move on. Here's a quick overview, a map of the projects that are proposed. Again, we will go through each one in detail. The projects in red are for reconstruction, green would be overlay. Reconstruction typically involves removing the bituminous, replacing curb and gutter where needed, replacing utilities as needed. Like I said previously, any storm sewer improvements that we can do as part of the reconstruction project, and of course a new section. A typical section that we would replace a new constructed street with is 10 inches of gravel and 4 inches of bituminous. We also would include fabric. And at times we do include tile for sump pump connections. However, in this year's project there is no tile included because the amount of sump pumps on these projects is very, very minimal, and we could not justify the cost to put in those tile connections. There are 6 streets included in the reconstruction portion, and again, it's about 0.83 miles. The first one I'll talk about is Oak Lane from 7th Street to the east. And you can see a picture here of our proposed street project. It was originally constructed in 1958, and it currently has a rating of 10 out of 100, which is not good. The MUC has requested that the water main be replaced, and that was requested back in 2008. So that is one reason why we would be reconstructing this street. It currently has a 2-inch copper water main, and we would be replacing that with 8-inch. Also, we would be replacing the 8-inch sanitary sewer with 8-inch PVC and reconnecting the services. Public Works has had been called several times to flush the main, and the televising shows that there's been root infiltration, cracked tile, and tile misalignment associated with the sanitary sewer. We will include the proposed section of 10 inches of gravel and 4 inches of bituminous. Repair curb and gutter as needed, and 2 catch basins would be added to this project to help with some of the drainage. The estimated cost on this project is around $222,000 for this street. Next is Russell Street from Ella Avenue to Olaf Avenue. This was originally constructed in 1957 and was last overlaid in 1971. It has a rating of 30 and currently a 6-inch base with a 1.5 inches of bituminous. Municipal Utilities also requested to replace the water main in 2008 on this street as well. It currently has a 4-inch cast iron water main, and we would be replacing that with 8-inch PVC. We would also be installing new sanitary sewer. It currently has 8-inch sanitary sewer clay pipe, and we would be replacing that with 8-inch PVC. The television report again shows root infiltration and tile misalignment on the sanitary sewer. And in 2010, we also did multiple pothole patching on this street. So that was, those are the reasons for this street being included in this year's project. The estimated cost on this project is about $232,000. Next would be 14th Street Southwest from Grace Avenue to Willmar Avenue. This was originally constructed in 1963, and it has a rating of 25. This also was recommended for water main replacement in 2008 by the municipal utilities. Again, it has a 6-inch cast iron water main pipe, which would be replaced by 8-inch, and 8-inch sanitary sewer, which would be replaced with an 8-inch PVC pipe. The television again showed that the sanitary sewer was cracking and sagging. In 2010, we also did extensive pothole patching, and it does require yearly patching in the spring and fall. The estimated cost is about $206,000. The next one would be Bernard Street from Becker Avenue to Litchfield Avenue. This was originally constructed in 1937 and was overlaid in 1970. It has a rating of 5. Currently has an aggregate base of 3 inches and 1.5 inches of bituminous. Again, this was requested for water main replacement by the municipal utilities in 2008. We did frost boil repairs on this street in 2008 and as well as in 2011. The televising report shows cracking and patching done to the sanitary sewer. We would be replacing the current 4-inch cast iron water main with 8-inch PVC and replacing the 8-inch clay sanitary sewer with 8-inch PVC. Estimated cost is about $158,000. And I'm just rounding those numbers off. So, Elizabeth Avenue from Robert Street to 14th Street was originally constructed in 1986. It has a rating of 40. Municipal Utilities requested water main replacement in 2008 from Robert Street to 13th Street. Televising reports show root infiltration, cracked tile, and tile misalignment again in the sanitary sewer. It currently has a 4-inch water main, and we would be replacing that with 8-inch PVC, and again replacing 8-inch sanitary sewer that is currently clay with 8-inch PVC. The estimated cost is about $291,000. And then Elizabeth Avenue, this next portion is from Robert Street to 14th Street. Basically about the same. Again, requested for a water main replacement by the municipal utilities and some sanitary sewer replacement. And the cost I gave you of $291,000 includes this block as well. Royce Avenue, From 1st to 4th Street, this was originally constructed in 1912 and reconstructed in 1987. It does have a higher rating of 65. However, we do see that this section of street is deteriorating due to a lot of the traffic from the car wash that's located between 1st and 3rd. We are proposing 2 sections on this. We were going to do an alternate bid of asphalt between 1st Street and 3rd Street, as well as concrete, to see where those bids come in at, and at that time we'll talk about that at the assessment hearing. There is no water main or no sanitary sewer on that street. And then the section from 3rd to 4th, sorry, I need to go back. Can you go back one slide? Thanks. The section from 3rd to 4th on Royce, we would keep with asphalt and not alternate bid that. We were just going to alternate bid the 1st to 3rd section where the car wash location is. So just wanted to point that out. The overlay projects, there are 2 segments included this year, and they are both state aid streets. We would do, it's about 0.84 miles, and we would correct curb and gutter as needed, correct damaged areas, overlay the street, and it would also include upgrading our sidewalk ramps to ADA compliance. The first one, let me make sure I'm on the right side, sorry, would be 5th Street Southwest from Willmar Avenue to Candy Ojai Avenue. This was reconstructed in 1993, and it needs an overlay. It was rated at a 75, which falls into our category of overlay. It's more of a 5th Street Southwest. The overlay would be considered a maintenance type activity, so that in the future we do not need to reconstruct it and spend the dollars to do that. The current estimate on this is about $106,000. And that was a state aid project. 9th Street Southwest from 19th Avenue to Willmar Avenue is also state aid. It was originally constructed in 1987. It has a rating of 60, and we're proposing to mill 1.5 inches and overlay 1.5 inches. And the estimated cost on that is about $162,000. The new construction is proposed for Willmar Avenue Southwest, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail except that I will say I would like to pull the Willmar Avenue new construction from the improvement list due to the timing associated with the land release and associated with getting all of the equipment ordered from the railroad. It takes about a year for the railroad to prepare the agreements and have the equipment ready for the crossing for the railroad. So my recommendation would be to pull the Willmar Avenue project until next year when we have the secured land release and we can proceed. We do not have the agreements from the railroad, and they have not been started because of the land release process. So I'll just skip through that. The other part associated with the Willmar Avenue was the path, and all of that would be done in conjunction together with the connection proposed hopefully for next year. Miscellaneous projects, there are 3 that I'd like to talk about. The 22nd Street Southwest path is estimated at about $30,000. This would be an 8-foot wide bituminous path which would connect the existing walk along 15th Avenue to the Willmar Avenue path, basically right in front of the stadium there. And again, the estimated cost is about $30,000. The next one would be the 24th Avenue Southeast walk. This would be is proposed to be a 5-foot concrete walk from 1st Street to the east. This can be done now with the lift station removal, and so we want to connect that piece of sidewalk that's missing along 24th Avenue. Estimated cost for that is about $34,000. The 1st Street Bridge Deck rehabilitation, this has been, as you may recall, on our improvement list for several years. Hopefully we will get that done this year. It includes some new seals being replaced. The bridge has not had any maintenance done on it since it was constructed, and it's due for some maintenance. We have some spalling and some delamination, and again, the new seals that need to be replaced. The estimated cost is about $30,000. And the other one, which I don't have a slide for, would be the water main relocation project, which is out at the MnDOT's site. They are proposing to do an expansion to their building, and the water main that's currently there would need to be relocated. However, we do not have confirmation that MnDOT is doing that project, and so once we get confirmation from MnDOT that they're going to proceed with the project, we would proceed with bidding the water main relocation project. So it would be a separate project from our improvement. So I just wanted to keep you in the loop on that. Project schedule is for tonight is the improvement hearing. We would do the bid letting in mid-April, and the assessment hearing, which is when we would talk about what it's going to cost for the residents along these streets. And those are the assessments based on what we get in for bids. Would be done in mid-May, and we would award in June and construct July with a completion date in November. And then here's a summary of our costs associated with the project. Tallying up all of the projects that I mentioned to you, it comes to about $1.7 million in street work this year. And I will note that this is, the street work for this year proposed is a bit down from previous years because of the projects that we did in 2011 regarding some of the frost boils and reconstruction of streets that came up as a result of the freeze-thaw session, and we had to include those projects last year and bond for them this year. So that's why our mileage is down for this year's project. So at this time, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Excuse me, the hearing is open, so I mean, if there are questions or comments, please step up to the podium and introduce yourself. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and have it for discussion here amongst the council. Any questions or concerns? Councilman Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Holly, the total 1.774 million, is that minus the Willmar Avenue that you wanted to take off of there?
No, it is not.
So that's included in that number?
Yes.
But we aren't going to do it?
Correct.
We've been waiting years for this to happen over there, just for the quiet zone, for my sake, for my ward over there.
We all have.
So we'll be working with the railroad to get the proper permits or whatever during the course of this next year, then, so we definitely can do it next year. Is that what your thoughts are?
My anticipation is that once we receive the land release for phase 1, we will be able to proceed with getting the agreements from the railroad and proceeding with ordering the equipment.
Okay,
yes.
It won't take more than a year to get those agreements, I'm assuming.
They have told me it takes 1 year, so I'm going with that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Mayor. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to go back to the question on Oak Lane regarding the stormwater runoff. I'm not sure that I understood the answer to that, and my question is it typical that we take the stormwater right off the streets and run it into a lake?
That is not what we would typically do now, but it was constructed in 1958, so it was probably typical back then. Again, we would add some catch basins to pick up some of the water in the street and run it into our main, but not typical to run it back to the lake. We have not included changing those drainage patterns with this project.
Okay, thank you.
Holly, I didn't get estimated costs for 14th Street Southwest and for Rice Avenue Southwest.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. 14th Street Southwest, the estimated cost is about $206,000. And Royce Avenue is estimated at about $71,000, and that is an asphalt estimate. That is not a concrete estimate.
Thank you.
I would
Councilman Lee?
still have a question similar to what Mr. Anderson had on Oak Lane. I don't know if Mr. Johns can, if you can bring that overhead up of Oak Lane again and show us how the water drainage is on that, and what, is there any, you said there's no improvements we're going to make to the water, stormwater there? You know, Bruce, is that, how does the water drain off in Oak Lane right now, if you could?
Currently, there is a catch basin right on this corner, right here, and it runs literally through the hill down and pops out onto my property, and then there's about 15 feet of lake shore that it literally washes away every time it rains. I'm not sure, but I think that might be the only catch basin on that entire circle. There may be some back on the front side over here. And so I'm assuming the entire circle of Oak Lane drains directly into the lake. And so my concern was, is there a way to slow up the progress of water so that the sediments before it hits the water? I mean, not only are we protecting the lake and the quality of water for us that are living on it and using it, that goes downstream. And so by adding catch basins, I'm hoping you're not assuming that water's going to get there quicker. That was one of my concerns as far as stormwater. And this entire hill, over a period of time, was washed. And I don't know, the lay of the land would perhaps change slightly. I don't know how that would fit into a drainage pattern. That was my concerns as far as the stormwater in this particular issue.
I guess, you know, I would like to, if we're going to make some improvements on the street, wouldn't it be the opportune time to address some of those stormwater issues if possible?
We'll take a look at it.
Right now, you know, we need to look at reducing the stormwater load, the particulates that are in our stormwater going into a water reservoir.
We can certainly take a look at it. There is no, you know, looking at it now, there, you know, to reduce the amount of particulates going into the lake, you would need a pond, or you would need to put sump catch basins in, which require then maintenance and cleaning. So we would have to take a look at what we can do there. We will take that into consideration and review the plans.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
Councilman Fagerly, did you have a question?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mine's on Elizabeth Avenue. I received a few calls. And it's a rating of 40, so it's not the worst, but I'm assuming you're doing it because of the stormwater or sanitary and water main?
Thank you, Mr. Fagerly. I also did receive several calls today on Elizabeth Avenue and talked to some residents. Some of the primary reasons for doing Elizabeth Avenue is the request by Willmar Municipal Utilities to upgrade the size of the water main for fire protection purposes and things like that. Currently is a 4-inch, and we would upgrade that to an 8-inch. Also, the sanitary sewer that's currently under the road is showing cracking. Roots are infiltrating, so we would be replacing the sanitary sewer. And then we also have some curb that is several trees that are interrupting our curb and disrupting drainage patterns on that street as well, that we would be removing some trees and replacing the curb to help with the drainage on that street.
All right, thank you.
Holly, I know there's been some interest here from the audience as to how much is this going to cost, you know? So I would ask you, when will you know?
I can tell you that in the past, reconstructed streets for assessments have been in the range of $55 to $60 a foot. And for overlay projects, it's been in the range of around $25 to $30 a foot. We won't know those figures until the project has been bid. and then we would review those bids and calculate the assessments from there. So the good numbers that residents would want to be interested in would be at the assessment hearing.
Thank you. Councilman Reed?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to order the improvements and develop the plans and specs.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to order the improvements and directing preparation of the plans and specifications as presented. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Almond.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
DeBleek.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion carries. We'll move on to the Labor Relations Committee report for February 23rd. Councilman Almond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. We met February 23rd, conference room 1 at the city office building. Present were myself, Dennis Anderson, Jim Dockin, and Charlene Stevens. Others present were Mary Yanish and our city labor attorney, Frank Madden. Meeting was called at 4:45. Number 1 on the agenda was we closed the meeting to discuss employee contract negotiation strategies. And at 4:47, Councilmember Anderson offered a motion to close the meeting to discuss strategies for contracts, and it was seconded and carried. At 5:37, we offered a motion to reopen the meeting, and that was seconded and carried. Item number 2 was a consideration of contracts from the AFSCME General Unit and AFSCME Public Works Unit of the City of Willmar, our employees. Our attorney, Mr. Madden, presented a proposal that had been resulted from mediation services conducted by the State Bureau of Mediation. And Attorney Madden also reviewed the terms of the proposed tentative agreement. Number 1 is that it will be a duration for a 3-year agreement effective 1/1/2011 to 12/31/2013. Item number 2 was on wages. 2011, there will be no general increase. 2012, effective 1/1, a 1% general wage increase, and effective following City Council approval, an agreement of $660 lump sum non-base increases. In 2013, effective 1/1/13, 1.5% general wage increase. Health insurance, item number 3. Article 22 for the general unit and the Article 25 for the public works unit. The employer agrees to provide at the employer's expense for all regular full-time employees and probationary employees under this agreement an insurance program for hospitalization and major medical comparable with the plan under existence with the option of dependent coverage. The language in here that was changed was for employees hired in 2012, the employer shall contribute up to $549 per month toward the cost of single coverage and up to $1,302 per month towards the cost of family coverage. Any additional cost shall be paid by the employee through payroll deduction. If the employee chooses family coverage, the word dependent was stricken and the word family was inserted. The employer shall pay the following towards the cost of family coverage, which would be deleting the first 2 sentences. For 2012, the employer shall contribute up to $1,302 towards the cost of family coverage. Any additional cost shall be paid by the employee through payroll deduction for 2013 and annually thereafter. That was stricken, and was added was the employer shall contribute up to 50% of the increase in the cost of monthly premium for family coverage under the basic plan. Any additional cost shall be paid by the employee through payroll deduction. And for Public Works Unit 25, revised language was according to all the above that I just read. The other items that was in the proposal was a 40-40-40 plan and add grade 9 to the general bargaining unit. This is a new grade. Councilmember Anderson asked for clarification on the 40-40-40 plan. Charlene explained that it would allow employees who have accumulated a total of at least 120 vacation hours to cash in 40 hours when using 40 consecutive or 5 consecutive days for paid for vacation and retaining a minimum of 40 hours. The option will be available one time per calendar year. Also asked were how many employers would be affected by the grade 9 salary, and it would be all that would be affected would be one employee, and I believe that's to deal with the airport management issue. Also stated, Mr. Anderson stated that he felt it was a fair proposal and made a motion to recommend approval of the labor relations contracts with ASME general units and ASME public works units as proposed. It was seconded by Mr. Dockin. The motion was carried on a 3-0 vote. Mr. Yanish, Mayor Yanish expressed his support for the proposed contracts and his hope they would receive full City Council support. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned, and I will move the recommendation of the committee, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the...
I think it's to actually accept the, it's to act on the approval of the two contracts. I believe the motion is to act on the approval of the two contracts.
On the two contracts.
But that's the recommendation from the committee.
As read, correct.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the two contracts.
Correct.
And that is the motion. Discussion. Councilman Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The 40-40-40 plan, does the city benefit from it in any way? And how do we budget for it? And if everybody that was allowed to take it this year, would we have to change the budget?
The benefit to the city for that is that we do, is that we limit, in essence, the accrual of employees. Employees have the opportunity to get that cash, to cash that out at their current rate of pay rather than at separation or at retirement at a higher rate of pay. So there is a benefit to the city in doing that. As to how many employees will take that in any given year, I don't think we have a certainty on that number because we've not done that before. It does require that employees also take 5 consecutive days of vacation, not just 5 days. They have to be 5 consecutive days of vacation, so that, again, for some individuals may limit their ability to choose that. We do fully fund the vacation pay in our benefits, and so I don't believe that we would have any negative impact to our budget with this benefit.
So we wouldn't have to change the budget, in other words, if everybody that was eligible took it this year?
I don't believe so. Mr. Okins?
I would recommend that we do change it, but as Administrator Stevens indicated, that there is a uncompensated absence reserve that would fund that. But in order to make sure that the departments stay within their budgets, it would be my recommendation that we do some budgetary amendments. Otherwise, they could possibly exceed their budget if they participated in the program.
Is that something we will do then? I mean, on his recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I got a question. So how many hours can someone accumulate in a year for vacation and carry over?
I do not have that in front of me. Steve, could you answer that question?
It varies by contract. It's normally, they can accumulate twice what they earn is the normal language in the contracts, but each contract has varying amounts of what they can earn.
So what's the purpose of vacation? Isn't it to take a break from your job?
It is, and that is why, I mean, the benefit is structured in such that in order to, at least to get any eligibility for this benefit, employees do have to take 5 consecutive days. And we do encourage employees to use their vacation and schedule their vacation.
But there will be some that won't.
There may be some that won't, and again, the longer an employee has kind of worked for the organization, I mean, the more vacation eligibility you have, that sometimes it does become difficult for them to schedule all of their vacation.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion? Motion is on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion carries. And
Move to
now,
file the minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the Labor Relations Committee report for February 23rd, 2012. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion carries. We have the Finance Committee report for February 27th, 2012. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item on our agenda was the Dominium Development Project. That's a HRA recommendation. And to the committee, note that we will be taking this for information as opposed to, we had talked about a motion, but it's been decided that this will be taken for information, and we'll get into that. Joe Bankston, HRA Executive Director, reported to us that the HRA board met on February 23rd, 2012 to further discuss the Dominium application for tax-exempt financing for $13.948 million of tax-exempt bonds to finance the acquisition and rehabilitation of Eagle Ridge, Somerset, and Waters Edge apartments. Initially, the HRA had proposed that 40% of the units be made eligible and available for Section 8 voucher holders. However, cash flow reasons preclude this project from having no more than 25% of the units as Section 8 eligible. Consequently, the HRA passed a motion to require, as a condition of bond issuance that a minimum of 25% of the units in the project remain eligible for Section 8 voucher program. Rent for the remainder of the units will be within the 60% area median income range. Because the company is willing to make improvements to the rental housing stock and work with the HRA to keep a portion of the project eligible for Section 8 program, the HRA continues to support the conduit financing request and requests the city give its favorable consideration to the project. After a lot of discussion, it was a consensus of the committee, with the exception of Councilmember Dockin, to support the project. Staff explained that the HRA will be conducting a public hearing for the issuance of these bonds. Once that has been successfully completed, the city will be required to adopt a resolution describing the project, stating the borrower agrees to pay all costs and that the city would not be liable, and giving permission to do the project within city limits. So at this point, until the public hearing has been held, this is for information only. The next item was the 2013 budget calendar. Staff reviewed with us the proposed 2013 budget calendar. Some changes were noted, and some of them were the development of capital improvement program items to be submitted by March 9th, peer review March 10th through April 4th. Completed department heads' estimates must be returned and reviewed with the city administrator by April, May. Department head presentations to the Finance Committee during May and June, and the mayor will present his proposed budget during the first meeting in August. Following discussion, there was a motion made, seconded, and passed, and I would introduce a resolution approving the 2013 budget calendar as presented.
Second.
A motion has been made to introduce a resolution approving the 2013 budget calendar as presented. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Christensen.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Amman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
DeBleek.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That motion carries.
And under miscellany, we had a couple of items. Staff noted there was a webinar that was this morning at 10:30 in Conference Room 1, presented by the League of Minnesota Cities, and it had to do the budget forecast and legislation. It was very informative. Councilmember Fagerly raised a concern that Sunshine may be proposing not to engage the Willmar ambulance service for their festival this year and is searching elsewhere for EMT services. Staff is going to look into that for us. That concluded the business of the committee. Unless there's questions, I would move to file the minutes.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the Finance Committee report for February 27th, 2012. Discussion? Councilman Docken.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Docken did not support item number 1, basically because in this report it indicates that the conduit tax-exempt financing is $13.948 million. On another document, it was over 18. It's fair to state that what these 3 apartment buildings receive out of that is about $3 million, something less than $3 million. And so I fail to understand why we would approve such a large amount of conduit financing when we're only going to receive $3 million or less in improvements to it. And when we asked for the 40%, HRA was told that the developer could not cash flow it. Well, anyway, that's the rationale I used to not support this, Mr. Mayor.
I think that's a good point. I'd like to have that question answered. Who could do that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Which question? On the percentage of?
On the $3 million in excess, is that what you were talking about, Councilman?
Yeah. This states that they want $13.948 billion of tax-exempt bonds to finance the acquisition and the rehabilitation. The rehab is about $3 million, I believe, or 2.6, something like that. Okay, and so at this time, and as stressed as we are for dollars, I'm just wondering why we would want to approve such a large amount of money.
Councilmember Anderson, I think.
Councilman
I think there was a document that was passed out, and I had it, I didn't bring it in with me, that outlined where all the money went, the full amount. And I think maybe this is going to be a more appropriate thing if the HRA, after their public hearing, approves it, then it comes back to us. Then we can talk about it. But one thing that Councilmember Docken said that bothers me a little bit, and that has to do with the money situation. This is no money to the city of Willmar. This is a program that's approved by the IRS, and it's being applied for. It's been used in our city before. So it doesn't cost the city anything. We're just a conduit financing thing. But I think this discussion is better held at a time if we know we're going to be doing this.
Thank you.
That's fine, Mr.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have the motion on the table. I believe it's a resolution. To introduce the resolution,
File the minutes. Motion to file the minutes.
Okay, then we will file the minutes of the Community Development Committee report, Finance Committee report for February 27th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That motion carries. Now we will go into the Community Development Committee report for March 1st, 2012. Councilman Dock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Community Development met March 1st, that's Thursday. Those present were myself, Councilmember Christensen, DeBleek, Hammond, Mr. Peterson, and Charlene Stevens were present also. Building official Cardell and Dave Little from the West Central Tribune. Item number 1 was public comments, and there were no comments offered at this meeting. Item number 2 is the Green Step Cities, and that's a resolution. The committee reviewed a proposed resolution for participation in the Green Step City program, and that's an attachment to this, Mr. Mayor. Questions were raised regarding the necessity of city participation. Concerns were expressed that it could be a waste of staff time, Another opinion offered by the committee was that it could be an opportunity to save money on energy and development projects over a long period of time. A motion was made, seconded, and passed for the following to recommend that the council adopt the resolution for participation in the Green Step Cities program. Mr. Mayor?
Second.
Make that. Then I have a question.
Okay, let's do the motion has been made and seconded to adopt resolution for participation in the Green Step Cities program and discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I'd ask staff again to enumerate the opportunities to save money on energy and on development projects over a long period of time.
Mayor Yanish, members of the council, two of the basic premises of this program have to do with buildings and land use, and the cost savings would be over time as municipal buildings are constructed or retrofitted or redesigned, remodeled. There's always the opportunity to do things to create energy efficiencies, whether it's through lighting, the HVAC systems, insulation, basic construction types, windows, doors. There's a myriad of options to do that. The other potential for cost savings has to do with design principles and how we manage our land use, how our streets designed, how wide are our streets built, how much energy are we going to put into not just building the streets, but how much energy are we going to put into plowing the streets? What type of street lights are we going to utilize in the community? Will we have planting programs, an urban forestry program that may provide for tree cover that provides shade when needed, but may also allow people to use passive solar or active solar systems on their homes. So again, this is a policy structured program. It commits the city to nothing other than the development of policies that need to be considered as the city does land use development and building construction in the future.
Thank you, Bruce. Councilman Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I'm surprised that we didn't have somebody here representing the Green Steps so we could have some questions answered. I'm not convinced that we should go forward to this, but I do have some questions. One of them was staff time. I think you alluded to that, Bruce, that it wasn't going to take much staff time. And in any staff time taken away from our plate, this already, we've got our plate full of working on quiet zones and the stormwater task force and the city vehicle policy changing. We've got lots of things on our plate, and I think it might be a distraction to do something like this. You mentioned it was going to be policy driven, and the policies are going to be brought forward by what, this committee to the council, so it's going to take some more of our time?
None of the policies could be adopted without having first gone through committee and ultimately the full council. That is correct.
Mm-hmm. As I see it, the prerequisites for the Green Step City, I guess I heard Charlene say on the radio today that we've already met like a dozen of those, and there's 20 some of them that we have to meet to be considered a Green Step City. It shows me that we're already moving forward, and staff is doing a great job of planning the plantings and the width of the streets, and I know you guys think about it all the time because we talk about it. I don't know if we need a Green Step City hanging a sign on our outside of the city limits to continue to do that. I'm trying to think of the benefit to the city, and you mentioned a couple, but who else benefits from this program? Is it for certain private sector companies to be eligible for green city loans? Is there any carrot out there for us to do that in the private sector?
To the best of my knowledge, no. What the program does is allows the city through policy to set an example for private citizens and private business to follow, and gives for lack of a better term, an energy efficiency architecture to what may be done or may need to be done in the future. It's important to remember that this is a citizen-driven process. Staff has not driven this process. We've responded to requests by citizenry for the city to get involved in this process, and it was our response to the citizens group that we would only do that if they would carry the freight and minimize the amount of staff time that is really required. We're not going to be the ones doing the research. They will be doing the research, developing the policy, bringing it through staff, meeting with staff to see what is feasible and functional, and then, you know, we'll have seen it before it gets to the council. So it's not going to come directly from the public to the council. It's entirely up to the council as to what you want to do with this process. We do have interested citizens that wish to pursue this. I think it's a worthwhile citizen initiative, but ultimately it's up to the council to decide.
I wasn't at the committee meeting. I'm assuming somebody over there was representing the Green Steps and spoke. That's why I was wishing maybe they'd be here tonight to explain it a little further to me. I don't know where to go with this. There's absolutely no cost to the city. No dollars expended except for a bit of staff time discussing these policies evidently with this group.
That's my understanding.
Okay. You say it's citizen-driven, and I appreciate that, but I haven't had any phone calls about it in my ward asking for it. So I don't know if it's a citizen group from downtown or where they're from. I mean, who do they represent? Is it?
Well, the discussion so far has been a citizens group that goes beyond just the city of Willmar. There have been people from all over the county involved with this group, and yet they have been told that that group cannot represent the citizens of Willmar. It has to be people from the city of Willmar that the mayor would appoint to the task force, and it would be a task force. They would have a fixed goal. When they complete their work, they would dissolve.
Are you convinced we should do this?
I recognize some benefit to the city long-term in doing it. I think we all need to be cognizant of energy issues and how they affect every part of our lives, and municipal government should be a part of that discussion always, I believe.
I recall hearing something about the energy you mentioned and carbon footprint and terms like that. You know, we have utilities over here that burns coal, and the present administration out east is trying to get rid of coal-burning facilities. Is that going to be part of their policies? Have they mentioned that at all? Is that something that, because we're also talking about upgrading this thing and spending a lot of money on upgrading it, is going to be one of their policies that we should not burn coal?
Councilmember Christensen, I would not be willing to carry that particular policy to the council, and I seriously doubt it would stand success in front of the council.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Bruce.
I have just one question. How does this Green Step Cities survive if they don't charge anybody anything?
Well, Mayor Yanish, it is a program that is monitored at the state level by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. They have staff that work with the local units of government and the citizens groups to keep records of the mileposts or the best management practices that are adopted by the councils throughout the state of Minnesota. And there are approximately 45 or 50 cities that are enrolled in this process right now. Okay. So it's the record keeping is primarily on the state end, though obviously we would maintain local records here as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? The motion is on the table for the roll call.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Just one more. I heard him mention MPCA and PCA, and that scares me when they're in control of it in St. Paul. I suspect they're going to be they have the policy recommendations that come from them through this committee to the council.
They have established a framework of best management practices. It's entirely up to the local units of government to decide which best management practices they choose to accept or reject. MPCA can recommend what they want to recommend till they're blue in the face, and until this city council adopts it as policy, it's meaningless.
MPCA is an unelected entity that has a lot of power. And, you know, with the budgeting in all the states, not just Minnesota, I find it strange that they would even have a program like this going right now, because they're always looking for more dollars to tell us where to put our water and et cetera. But I'm not convinced of this. That's all I have to say.
Councilman Anderson?
Well, just hear the other side of the story. I am convinced, and I absolutely can't see why, when we have something that's citizen-driven, why we wouldn't just wrap our arms around it and say this is the best thing that can happen. No cost to the city. Let's just move this forward. I call for the question.
I was going to do that.
Roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
DeBleek.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
The motion carries.
Item number 3, mobile home park conditions, and this is for information only. Building official Randy Cardell, and I saw him earlier, if he's still here, reported on conditions in the Regency East and West mobile home parks. He explained what is being done by staff and management to improve conditions in the parks. There has been an ongoing effort to remove homes that are not habitable. It typically takes 7 to 10 days to remove a home once orders are written. Several homes are currently placarded and awaiting removal. The park manager is compiling a list of abandoned cars that need to be removed. She has worked to stay ahead of the garbage accumulation problem by providing regular pickups. Recently, a local electrician corrected electrical code violations with numerous meters and services being removed. Again, that is for information only, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Item number 4, order for removal. This is 201 Havana Street Northeast, and it's a motion. Staff presented a proposed order for removal of the home at 201 Havana Street Northeast, as prepared by City Attorney Richard Ronning, and there's an attachment to this. The council discussed this matter previously and directed City Attorney to pursue the removal. The formal order is the next step in the process. A motion was made by Councilmember Amon, seconded by Councilmember DeBleek, and passed for the following, and I'll move this: that the council adopt the order for removal and that the city attorney proceed with the removal process.
Second. A motion has been made and seconded that the council adopt the order for removal and that the city attorney proceed with the removal process. Now, I understand this is a motion, but I also have been informed that this will take a roll call vote. Roll call.
Councilmember Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
DeBleek.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
And that motion carries.
Item number 5, resolution, EPA grant program. Staff presented a revised resolution for the EDA grant program to provide additional funding for industrial park development, and there's an attachment on this also. The new resolution amends the resolution dated February 6, 2012 by changing the dollar figure for local participation and the corresponding percentage. A motion was made by Councilmember Amon, seconded by Councilmember DeBleek, and passed for the following: to adopt the resolution amending the figures in the previous grant resolution.
Second. A motion has been made and seconded to adopt the resolution amending the figures in the previous grant resolution. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
DeBleek.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That motion carries.
Item number 6 is John Supper Club report, and this is for information. And the report came from building official Randy Cardell. Another weekly progress inspection has been conducted on February 28, 2012. The plumbing system, waste, and vents are still incomplete. 4 to 6 upper floor room apartments have been completed. The water service lines are partially installed. The roof/ceiling insulation is about 2/3 complete as of the time of the inspection. The mechanical contractor has made some progress. One of the 3 gas furnaces has been partially installed. The fire sprinkler system has not been started yet. Progress is slow, and the project will not be done by the required deadline. That's for information only. Item number 7, land release. City Administrator Stevens provided a progress report on the city's efforts to secure Phase 1 and 2 of the land release, and that would be at the former or the old airport, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Unless there are questions, I would move to file these minutes.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the Community the Community Development Committee. All those in favor? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ron, Councilmember Christensen, you stated you were not at this meeting?
I was at this meeting, but not where the gentleman, you had a meeting evidently where he presented the green steps.
The green steps, he was not at.
Prior to this. I was at this particular one, but he must have been at an earlier committee meeting, and I was not at that one.
I do have a question, Councilman, as far as where do we go from here with John Supper Club? I mean, time is running short.
Well, an interesting comment was made by building official Cardell, and Mr. Peterson, I'm sure, can explain it better than I can, but I think the comment, Mr. Peterson, was that as long as a single thing is done within 180 days, that is considered improvement. Is that correct?
Council Member Dockin, Mayor Yanish, members of the council, technically that is correct. As long as you can demonstrate that you are making progress, a building permit shall remain open and in effect. Unfortunately, I think the council has decided to try to do something a little differently in this case, given this person's past history, and sometimes it feels like it does take him 180 days to complete one item. I see progress being made. I don't see that there's a lot of options at this point but to continue to encourage Mr. Kidrowski to complete his work and to do so as expediently as possible.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Then a motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the Community Development Committee report for March 1st, 2012. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion carries. And we have a consideration of an ordinance of approving a redistricting plan. Is there someone here to speak to that? That would be you.
Mayor Yanish, members of the council, you have before you an ordinance to approve the redistricting plan. As you're aware, we had a couple of proposals earlier. The council gave direction to City Attorney Rich Ronning to draft up the ordinance pursuant to Proposal 2, which was generally accepted by the council. The city attorney has done that, but also pursuant to our city charter, we are allowed by the affirmative vote of 6 council members to publish the summary of that ordinance. And because of its length and its expense, we are recommending that the council take that action. Most of the description in those ordinances are very detailed about going north or south on these roads. Most of the constituents will look at the map, which is not part of the ordinance, to decide where they are at and so forth. Additional information: when somebody asked at a prior meeting whether the citizens that are moved from one precinct to another will be notified. Subsequent to the adoption of the final plan, staff will update all the registered voters that are placed in a new precinct, and it'll go into the state voter registration system, and then the state of Minnesota will send them all postcards telling them that their new precinct and their new voting location. So that detail will be handled in the subsequent months. It is staff's recommendation that you approve a summary ordinance for the redistricting plan and hold a hearing on that at the next scheduled meeting of March 19th.
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to introduce an ordinance in summary form for redistricting the 4 wards. Now, do we have to set up for the hearing too at this point?
Pardon me?
Do we have to set the hearing at this point as well?
I believe that could be one motion, unless I hear any. And your call on the roll call of that, because you do need 6 affirmative votes to go to a summary.
Let's go.
But other than that, I think the motion and the resolution is to approve Plan 2 and hold the hearing roughly 7:03 on March 19th.
That was my motion.
Okay. We do have a motion to introduce an ordinance in summary form for redistricting the 4 wards. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. That motion carries. Consideration of the preliminary plat Schmidt second edition. That would be Mr. Peterson.
Mayor Yanick, members of the council. The city received an application from Ken Schmidt, who is the owner of the Culvers property, which was developed, interestingly enough, at Schmidt Edition. He is proposing to subdivide that property as a common interest community that would create a separate buildable parcel on the south end of the Culvers property that would use the same driveways for access. And the common interest community plat is being used so that the lots are defined as outlots, and there will be declarations filed with the plat that provide permanent access across these outlets to the properties, as well as providing access to Cub Food. So the only thing that's really going to change on that site would be that there would be room between Culvers and Cub for one small business to develop. The Planning Commission has reviewed the plat and has approved the preliminary plat with conditions regarding the addition of some utility easements, the provision of utility services, the payment of assessments, and then the filing of articles and declarations. And it's a recommendation of staff that the council approve the preliminary plat so Mr. Schmidt can proceed with the final.
Move to approve.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve the Schmidt second edition preliminary plat. All those discussion. Councilman Christensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bruce, when they divide that like that, is there any stormwater concerns that have to be met? Or have they already been met with the one plat?
They were originally met with, or they were met with the original plat. The stormwater pond that exists on the one outlot that's on the border between the Culvers property and
Office Max?
Office Max, thank you, was designed and sized to accommodate the entire parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That motion carries. Bruce, would you talk about the Myers addition?
Certainly. The Myers Addition plat is a 3-lot replat of properties in the 600 block of Becker Avenue Southwest. In this particular situation, there were 3 existing non-conforming parcels that had extremely unusual and unworkable legal descriptions, and the property owners have gotten together and agreed to shift the property lines. And basically what it does is it makes the middle lot more usable as a commercial property, and it increases access to parking on the property. The Planning Commission has approved this final plat with the condition that Mr. Myers, Cecil Myers, submit a parking agreement for the one lot because it has to be shared with the middle property, and that's something that exists right now, but the Planning Commission wants the arrangement formalized and recorded with the plat. So the action by the Planning Commission was that no signatures would be affixed to the plat until they were in receipt of the parking and access agreement that will be filed with the plat. So it's a recommendation of staff that the council approve that final plat, but we will not ask the mayor, city clerk, and city engineer to execute that plat until we have that parking arrangement or that parking agreement filed with us as well.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the final plat of the mayor's addition with the condition, the parking conditions attached. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That motion carries. With that, we'll move into the announcement of the council meeting, committee meeting dates. Councilman Docker?
I'm not sure what date. Dennis, when is the finance?
12th.
15th.
15th.
That'll put you on the spot, didn't I? Councilman Anderson, on the 12th.
Finance Committee will meet Monday, March 12th, 4:45.
Councilman Reese.
Public Works, Public Safety, Tuesday the 13th.
And Councilman Ahmed.
Well, the only thing we really have is March 8th. That's coming up this Thursday regarding the city attorney review. And I think that's through the Labor Relations Committee, but I believe the full council is going to be in attendance.
The full council, yeah, that meeting is scheduled as a special meeting, and it's for all council members. It's at 4:45 in conference room 1.
Other than that, there's no Labor Relations Committee meeting.
Is there any miscellany? Hearing none, I would introduce the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion has been made and seconded.
Yep.
To adjourn. We are adjourned.